We'll call the regular monthly meeting to order. And we'll start with the acknowledgement of treaties of peace and friendship. We'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq peoples. This territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, which Wolastoqey, Mi'kmaq, and Passamaquoddy peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1726. The treaties did not deal with surrender of lands and resources, but in fact recognized the Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqey title and established the rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. Thank you. Alalan. Next is the oath of office. We do hereby accept the office of council and will diligently, faithfully, and impartially discharge to the best of our ability the duties of the office as may be imposed upon us by law. Next is the moment of reflection. This month we remember Lorraine Daigle, Edward Deguchi, Andrew Gauthier of Beldoon, Adelia Pepin, formerly of Beldoon, Shelley Carrier, and Bertha Levine of Lorne. If we have a moment of silence. Thank you. Next is the adoption of the agenda. Can we get a mover for that? Or do we have any additions?
M 2023-04-17-80, that the agenda be adopted as presented.
And a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Statements of conflict of interest. Recognized any conflicts of interest, just acknowledge with the clerk. Next is the adoption of minutes.
M 2023-04-17-81, that the minutes of the Committee of Whole Council meeting of March 6, 2023, the special meetings of March 6 and 14, 2023, and the regular meeting of March 2023 be adopted as presented.
And a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the motion, all those in favor say aye. Motion passed. Next, we have presentations. First up is Mr. Remy Boudreau of Allen Piquet and Arsena.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, so the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2022. I'll start with the Independent Auditor's Report, which is our report on the financial statements. It's divided in four parts. First part is the opinion. And our opinion on the financial statements reads, in our opinion, the accompanying consolidated financial statements present fairly, in all material respect, the financial position of the Village of Beldoon as of December 31st, 2022. In other words, it means it's a clean audit. There's no mistakes in these financial statements. The second is the basis of opinion. As auditors, we need to follow the generally accepted auditing standards of Canada in order to arrive at our opinion. So we do a lot of procedures and tests and samples and so on and so forth to arrive at that opinion. Next is the responsibility of management. It's important to note that it's the management of the Village of Beldoon that's responsible for the preparation of the figures, the numbers in the financial statements, which leads me finally to the last part, is the auditor's responsibility. Our responsibility is to give an opinion on those numbers. And like I said, the opinion is favorable. There's no mistakes in the statements. So if we look at the numbers, on page 4, which is the consolidated statements of operation, it gives the results of the operation of the Village of Beldoon for the year from January 1st to December 31st, 2022. In the middle, the first column is the budget. We compare with the budget. And the last column is 2021. It's the result of 2021 last year. So if we look at the middle column, the actual numbers, there's the revenues. It's the monies that came into the village. Got revenues, warrant assessment, 4 million, and I'm rounding to the thousand there. 4 million for warrant assessment. It's the big revenue. Unconditional grants for 298,000. Services provided to other government, 39,000. Sales of services, 72,000. Other revenue from own sources, 42,000. Conditional transfers from other governments, 177,000. Other transfers, $425. Water and sewer sales of services, 60,000. Other revenue from own sources, 23,000. Got interest revenue, 80,000, and miscellaneous revenue, 2,000. So the total revenue for the year is 4.8 million. Now we subtract the expenditures and the different expenditures. The general government, 1.1 million. Protective services, 1 million. Transportation, 1.2 million. Environmental health, 270,000. Environmental development, 516,000. Recreation and cultural, 604,000. Fiscal services, 45,000. And finally, water and sewer, 112,000. Total expenses, 4.9 million. So if we take the revenue less expenses, gives the result for the year is actually a deficit this year. $95,000 deficit compared to a $327,000 surplus in 2021. I have to note that $95,000 deficit is under the accounting rules of PSAB. We call it the public sector accounting rules. But for your budget purposes, if we go to page 17, we go with fund accounting. So what we do here, we take the PSAB, the deficit of $95,000, we break it down between the 8 funds, and then we convert it back to fund accounting, which is the numbers you guys need for your budget in 2 years' time. So for example, if I take the general operating fund, for PSAB, it's actually for that fund alone, it's a $808,000 surplus for the general operating fund per PSAB accounting. But we need to adjust it, so we in PSAB there's no taken into consideration of the surplus of 2 years ago. So we need to add the surplus for 2 years ago to convert it to fund accounting, 37,000. And then there's the transfers between fund that PSAB doesn't take into consideration, but it's taken into consideration for fund accounting. So there's a 20,000. There was a transfer from operating to the reserves. So it's a minus 20,000. And then there's another transfer for the 300. And the big amount here is the capital expenditures. It's the general operating fund that actually paid for the capital expenditures. So it's $614,000 there that we have to minus out of there. And the same thing for the long-term debt repayment, the debentures, $183,000. So in total, the general operating fund, we adjust by $775,000 to come down to a surplus of $33,060 as per fund accounting. So that's the $33,000 in 2 years' time that's going to hit your budget. That's the figure right there. The other one is the water and sewer operating fund. We do the same exercise. We start with $5,160 per PSAB. We do the adjustments, and we end up with a surplus of $4,709 for fund accounting. So that also is going to be the number that's going to hit your budget in 2 years. So general operating fund, $33,000 surplus. Water and sewer, $4,700. You have any questions on that part? So I can skip back to the statements. Just the one last thing that I think is important in the statements is the statement of financial position, which gives a picture of the village as at December 31st, 2022. So that's on page 5. So if we were to look at the village at December 31st, 2022, there was cash and short-term investments. That's all the cash in the bank account and the short-term investments, 4.2 million. Accounts receivable, that's money that's owed to the village, 10,000. due from federal government and its agencies, that's money owed from the government, 89,000, and then due from the provincial government and agencies, 22,000. So the village has financial assets of 4.3 million as of December 31st, 2022. Then we subtract, of course, the liabilities, which is the money that the village owes. So in the liabilities section, there's accounts payable and accrued liabilities, 196,000, deferred revenue, 675,000, and long-term debt, which are the debentures, of 2 million. So you got financial liabilities of 2.9 million, which leaves with net assets of 1.3 million, meaning that if the village was to collect every money that's owed to the village, and the village paid all of its debt, you would be left with 1.3 million at the end of the day. We add to that, of course, the non-financial assets, which are the assets that are not as readily marketable. You can't sell it as easily. The tangible capital assets, 32 million, with amortization, 18 million, which gives 13 million for the buildings and roads and everything. And then the property held for sale, 139,000, prepaid expenses, 82,000. So we got in total 13 million non-financial assets, which gives you an accumulated surplus of $15 million, which is the surplus that's been accumulated over the years for the village. The rest of the statements, I'm not going to go through everything. It's all basically the same information, but in more detail if you want to look through them. But it's all explained in there. So do you have any questions on the statements? Yep, good, thank you. Thanks.
Next, we had another presentation. I don't know if that individual is here from the food cycle science. I don't recognize anyone, so we'll just move on. Statements by members of council.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I believe that she was going to join virtually, so she's received that. I don't know, Nicole, if you can
Okay.
look there.
Good evening. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you, yes?
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Mayor and council.
Yeah, maybe a little bit louder, and I didn't get a chance to introduce you, so if you'd like to start by introducing yourself, that'd be
Absolutely.
much appreciated. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and share my screen. Just looking for the. So I will share my screen. So can you all see my screen?
Yes?
The presentation?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, good evening, bonsoir, Mayor, members of council, and staff. Thank you very much for having me this evening. My name is Cassia. I'm a municipal program coordinator with Food Cycle Science, and I'm here to discuss a municipal food waste program opportunity. And just checking that you can just see my presentation and nothing else is distracting.
No, we're unable to see it.
You're unable to see it. Okay. Um, hmm. Presenting. It says that I am sharing. Oh, I apologize for this. I will stop sharing and try again. Okay, let me know if you can see my presentation.
Okay, not as of yet.
Not as of yet. Okay.
We can see you, but we can't see the presentation yet.
Okay. What I can do is I can email it quickly and talk over it.
We have a copy.
You have a copy.
Yeah.
Perfect. And so if I speak and along it and tell you which slide I'm on, does that work?
Yep,
Okay, I apologize for this.
no problem at all.
Okay, so moving on to the second slide. So like I said, I am with Food Cycle Science, and we're based in Ottawa, in Ontario. And we're 100% focused on finding food waste diversion solutions. So we offer our solutions directly to consumers through partners like Vitamix and Breville, to classrooms through partnerships with not-for-profit organizations, and to municipalities like yourself through our Municipal Solutions Department. And so on the next slide, you can see that we are partnered with 82 municipalities in total, 2 being in the US. And many of these are small, rural, and remote communities. And these communities often face struggles with food waste management or where green bins are just not an option. And so on the next slide, we have a little bit of information about why food waste is a problem. And the main problem with food waste is that it's avoidable. It accounts for a large portion of our household waste. It's made up of mostly liquid, which is very heavy and freezes in the winter. And on top of that, food waste in landfills is responsible for generating harmful greenhouse gases. So when food waste is sent to landfills, it produces methane, which is a very potent greenhouse gas emission. So all of these factors make it so that food waste is a problem and it has a strong municipal impact, which you can see on the next slide. So one of the impacts to municipalities is that, like I said, food waste makes up such a large portion of our waste stream. It's causing our landfills to fill up quickly, and that's very costly. So we want to extend the lifespan of our landfills for as long as possible. And in our communities, food waste, in addition to the environmental factor, putting food waste in the garbage causes odors, which of course is unpleasant for us humans, but very interesting for animals like raccoons. Some of our communities have bears, rats, mice that love to rummage through the garbage. So removing food waste from the garbage eliminates these issues and reduces volume. And this can save the municipality on hauling and disposal fees, increase space in your landfill, and can save residents on hassle and excess waste fees. And so on the next slide, you can see that we often get asked when we present our solutions, haven't we solved this already? And there are green bins for big cities with high population densities, but this is a really cost prohibitive solution and operationally challenging. To give you some context, here in Ottawa, we've had green bins in place for about a decade, but only about 56% of the population reports having used it at least once. But the bins and the trucks are in places if 100% of people use it all of the time. And many people in your community might backyard compost, which we encourage. We think that's a great solution. Unfortunately, backyard composting is not feasible for everyone, and it's certainly not a year-round solution. And there's a concern with bears and other animals that you might have in your community. And then finally, the easiest solution, of course, is to continue to landfill our organic waste, but for reasons that I just mentioned, we can't keep doing so. And so on the next slide, it should be the 90% food waste reduction slide, but each food cycler, so this is our solution, will process on average a kilogram of food waste per cycle. So each cycle takes between 4 to 8 hours to complete and uses less than a kilowatt hour of power. So about a couple cents a cycle. So that's just overnight. The result is about 100 grams of dry, sterile, odorless soil amendment that you can add to your plants, your garden, your lawn, etc. And the machine can be used anywhere where there's a plug. So most people store it in their kitchen, their basement, or perhaps a heated garage. And then on the next slide, it should be the Food Cycler product family. So we have 2 products in our program. We have the original FC30, which is 2.5 liters, and the larger, newer unit, which is about 5 liters. And so on the next slide, we have a few uses for the byproduct that the Food Cycler produces. So like I said, the byproduct is completely dry. It's an inert biomass, and it has many uses. Most people use it to fertilize their own gardens right at home, but it's great for community gardens, community composting sites, and a lot of people in our municipal partners, a lot of people in our municipalities use it for home heating. So they pelletize it and use it as such, which we think is a great option. And then, of course, if you put it in your garbage, which we encourage, not doing so. However, it will reduce the weight of your garbage and save money in the end. And then on the next slide, we see that the Food Cycler is a net negative carbon solution. And what that means is just like planting trees or using solar panels, when you use the Food Cycler to avoid bringing food waste to the landfill, you're avoiding more greenhouse gases than you're creating in the process. And so on the next slide, the economic impact, in addition to the environmental impact, the traditional method of managing waste is a heavily burdened system. It has unrelenting costs, it has trucking and labor and maintenance, but the Food Cycler offers a decentralized approach that avoids these unnecessary costs and greenhouse gas emissions. And so on the next slide, you see that one thing we've learned from working with municipalities is that residents are very interested in being part of the solution. So they want to try new things, they want options, and of course, they want their government to bring these options to their community. So with the Food Cycler, you get to bring something innovative and tangible to your residents. They don't need to live in a big city to diaper organics. So on top of the social pressure, there are regulations coming all over Canada, and that includes New Brunswick. And since food waste accounts for such a large portion of the household waste, it's the single most impactful strategy to achieving these diversion targets and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So I mentioned earlier that we are working with several municipalities. So just on the next slide, you can see some statistics about our Food Cycler pilots. And to date, we've completed over 40 pilots, so the rest are all in progress. And the results have been overwhelmingly positive. So we're able to achieve a significant amount of net new diversion. We have a generous user experience rating and a 98% participation rate. So many municipalities have expanded these programs to more households. There's a community in in British Columbia, for example, Nelson, BC, and after 2 successful pilot programs, they are putting a Food Cycler in every home. And of course, municipalities are saving on their waste management costs. And some communities have reduced their need for a regular collection service with our solution. And so we're very happy to announce that if you go to the next slide, a few months ago, Food Cycler was selected as a finalist for Impact Canada's Food Waste Reduction Challenge, which is a 3-part initiative from the Government of Canada to reduce Canada's food waste. And so we've been awarded $400,000 that we're distributing across municipalities who wish to launch new pilot programs in their community. And of course, this would include your community. And we're in the running for the stage 3, which is the final stage, to receive $1.5 million from the federal government, which again, we would distribute to our partners. And so on the next slide, you can see that our typical pilot program structure is 12 weeks from start to finish. So residents purchase a Food Cycler at a subsidized municipal rate. They use the unit, they track the number of cycles per week, and at the end of the pilot, they get to keep their Food Cycler and keep diverting food waste. And so we provide a survey to the residents, they fill out the survey, we analyze the results, and we provide a report back to council, or like a feasibility study, if you will. And this data can be used to support your future waste management decision making, or can accompany a recommendation or a grant application to expand the program. And just on the next slide, some information about pricing. So our pilots work on a subsidy model where we provide a municipal discount and we add in the federal investment from Impact Canada to get the price of each unit reduced by 50%. We suggest the municipality subsidizes the cost by $100 per household, and participating residents will choose which model best suits their household and contribute the remaining amount. And as a reminder, after the pilot, the residents get to keep their Food Cycler, of course. And so on the next slide, We have some pilot size recommendations. So for a community of your size, we would recommend between 50 to 100 households. Probably about 50 households would be great for the pilot size. So that would be a municipal investment of $5,000. And so on the next slide, that's pretty much all I have tonight. So we would welcome your community as a partner in this food waste challenge, as we believe your community would be a great fit for the benefits of the program. And tonight we kindly ask that you receive our presentation as information, and should there be any interest in partnering with us on a funded pilot program, we would ask that you refer this to staff for a report and recommendation. So thank you very much for listening to my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Rainier. That's the proper pronunciation, right? Ms. Rainier?
It's great, yes, thank you.
Can you hear, so would you be willing to take questions? Does anyone on council have any questions that they'd like to ask? Okay. Well, we thank you very much for the presentation. We appreciate that. And we know it's an extremely important topic, so we look to getting in touch with you down the road, perhaps.
Wonderful.
Thank
Sounds
you.
wonderful. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Take care.
So for the folks at home, that was Cassia Rainier, who's with the Food Cycle Science Corporation. Now we move on to statements by members of council. Councilor Burke?
I've had a couple of meetings, one with the RCMP and one with the Port of Baldoon, so I would like to read a report that I prepared for the information of both council and the public. The first report has to do with the RCMP meeting, and it goes as follows. On April 4th, I met with the RCMP concerning issues that impact the Northern District. Baldoon continues to be policed by the RCMP, who have confirmed that they maintain a daily presence in our community and are committed to providing specific, relevant, and time-based service to Baldoon. The present contract with the province of New Brunswick and the RCMP expires on March 31st, 2032. Policing services are paid on a 70% agreement with the province and a 30% agreement with the federal government. The province established in consultation with the RCMP the level of resources, the budget, and the policing priorities. It should be noted that the RCMP deliver services within the established budget set by the province of New Brunswick, who in turn bill the municipalities for their services within that budget. The RCMP follow a tirage called priority list. They are as follows. Priority 1, major incidents in progress. Priority 2, urgent need for police. Priority 3, requires police but not immediate or urgent requirement. And priority 4, no police attendance required, may require further action. Every officer has 26 weeks of basic training and 6 months with a field coach. They have mandatory training on basic awareness, cultural awareness and humility, crisis intervention, and de-escalation. All officers are subject to regular physical fitness testing, pistol and carbine qualifications, first aid, and training on the latest police tactics and technology. The contact that Baldoon has with the RCMP includes all divisions available to assist the organization in solving or aiding our community. They include Major Crime Unit, Forensic Identification Services, Underwater Response Team, Police Dog Services, Emergency Response Team, Crisis Negotiations Team, Tactical Services Group, and Digital Forensic Services. The province policing model has not changed with the establishment of the local governance reform. There are some changes in boundaries and jurisdiction, but the overall concept of policing and public safety has not. Some contact changes may be required based on population size. With the local governance reform, the Regional Service Commission are mandated to create a public, just got to change the page here, a public safety committee. This will create the opportunity for the RCMP to work with the Regional Service Commission to establish community priorities. The Regional Service Commission quarterly reports will provide crime statistics and information on types of call broken down by detachment. There are multiple pieces to the priority puzzle, and they are divided into three main areas: the national RCMP priorities, the Government of New Brunswick priorities, and local priorities. The Government of New Brunswick provincial policing priorities are established through a 3-year directional statement sent by the Department of Public Safety. The current provincial priorities are: 1. Protecting our most vulnerable citizens. 2. Combating serious and organized crime. 3. Enhancing highway safety. 4. Financial planning and accountability. And 5. Collaboration and information sharing. The RCMP have established a new tool for online crime reporting. It is available 24/7 without having to call or attend a detachment. It provides a report that can be used for insurance and provides information to police. The site is available at rcmp-grc.ca/NB. This site is used for mischief or damage to property under $5,000 and theft under $5,000 or lost property. Here in Beldoon, the officer assigned to the frontline service is Constable Jean-Francois Deluc. He is located in Bathurst and will be our contact officer. I am in the process of organizing a presentation by the RCMP here in Beldoon where our citizens can ask questions and discuss issues of concern they are having. I am planning this event in late May or early June, and this will be in our messenger as soon as the details are finalized. That concludes my report on the RCMP. Next report is a public information report on a meeting I had with the Port of Beldoon. On March 28, 2023, I met with Jennifer Clevency Moffat, who is the legal advisor, CAO, and general counsel for the Port of Beldoon. Our CAO, Landon Lee, was invited so that the lines of communication can be reopened between the port and our administration at the village office. We were informed of the following changes at the port. Andrea Fresconi is the new marketing director for the Port Authority and will be a new asset for the port in marketing all of the advantages utilizing the Port of Beldoon around the world. The port has a memorandum of understanding to produce and develop hydrogen with Cross River Infrastructure Partners. The agreement would see the port and Cross River working with Nextra, one of the largest producers of facilities using renewable energy in North America. They are presently operating an 80-megawatt hydrogen facility in Florida. The facility in Beldoon will be designed to produce between 200 and 400 megawatts in its initial phase for the production of hydrogen. The port has applied for funding for various projects through the Transport Canada, including a new project for the building of a dry bulk conveyor, which was just announced through the National Trade Corridor Fund. On Saturday, May 20th, the port will celebrate what is being called the Celebration of Protocol with First Nations. This celebration will take place at the Heritage Gardens Park located on Eel River Bar First Nations. The annual AGM for the Beldoon Port Authority will be on June 17th this year. Also, the port will be in Rotterdam, Germany later this year. The province has confirmed that they will also send representatives to accompany the port. The port will continue with the theme and commitment to develop clean, green, and renewable energy for our region. The team of professionals who work at the port are committed to economic development that will sustain the growth of our economy in Beldoon and the region. That concludes both reports for your information. Anyone wishing to have a copy, I would be more than happy to send you a copy of that report.
Thank you, Councilor Burke. Does anyone have any questions?
I have no questions, but thank you very much for that information. It's very good. Just one thing, that comes to mind right now. You say that there's a couple of events coming around with Ill River First Nation. Will council be invited to any of these?
I didn't ask that question. I can contact Jennifer and ask her and
No,
send
it's
you an
no
email.
problem. Normally, we're invited, but I was just wondering, but
Yeah.
it's too good report. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Counselor Guitar McDonald.
Hi there. I'm just here to remind the residents and the youth of Beldoon that on Wednesday, April 19th, we will be meeting at the Beldoon Rec Center at 6:30. And the purpose of this meeting is to help to encourage the youth to come and design their own meeting place. We're going to ask them to help create a safe environment. And so all the input that they can give to us would be beneficial for them and for us. And with this request, I'm also asking residents in the village if they have any paint and paint supplies that they would like to donate to the youth group. That would be awesome, and you could let us know if you do. Between myself and Daryl, our phone numbers and email addresses are in the messenger. So I'm encouraging all our youth between 12 and 17 to meet us there on Wednesday to give us some input on how they would like their meeting place to be. Any questions?
Yes, thank you. That's very informative. You worked really hard on this project, and I thank you for it. I will be attending the meeting on the 19th, so if there's anything, I don't know if I have any paint or anything, but thank you for this. It's a lot of hard work. Thank you.
And the second item that I have tonight is I'd like to put a call or an acknowledgement out for Mark Arsenault about the gentlemen's hockey tournament that happened at the Beldoon Arena at the end of March and the beginning of April. It was stellar. It brought so much life into that arena and to our village. The arena was always packed. The canteen was open. It was a wonderful event, and he works so hard on this. I'd just like to acknowledge that he put his heart and soul into it, and it was recognized. And I believe it was its 30th anniversary this year, so kudos to him. It was great. Thank you.
Again, thank you, Marilyn, very much for standing there for my husband, Eric. He's played in that tournament many years. I was away, and I found out a bit late, and the plans were already made. I appreciate it. I don't think I would have been able to say very much, but I appreciate you doing that for me. And yes, it's a good tournament. It's been certainly through the years brought a lot of people together. And I didn't go early in the week because of a different reason. But thank you very much for being there for me.
If I may, Your Worship, just to confirm the words said by Councillor Guitar McDonnell, as a active participant within the tournament and being involved in it in a tremendously long time, the tournament is extremely well done, is extremely well supported by our community and the people who go there and enjoy the event. And as Councillor Guitar McDonnell mentioned, I also wish to extend my personal congratulations to Mark on a job extremely well done.
Thank you, Counselor. I know Mark would want to thank all the council and administration and staff and the great workers at the arena and everyone who participated in their own way. So thank you.
And let's not forget the taxpayers who helped fund it.
So now we move on to administration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So item on my agenda is the Adipac MOU. I don't think that we need to review. I've given all the information to council. Clerk Treasurer Cormier has drafted two motions, whether council decides to enter into the MOU or not enter into the MOU. Just very high level, to reiterate what was put out to council. We did connect with the other municipalities involved in this MOU. The other municipalities are choosing not to enter into it. There was some information that was put out to our legal counsel, and unfortunately, just due to the deadlines that we were up against, we didn't receive anything back from Andre on that. So at the very least, I hope that council does at least consider tabling the motion, which I do recognize does not correspond with the timelines that the ADAPAC is looking for. However, at the very least, I would think that would be the reasonable thing to do. So all the information is there. The MOU is attached, and as I said, there are two motions for the MOU, depending on how council wants to manage this.
Can I just ask what was their deadline?
They were asking for, I believe, April the 28th. They needed to put in their expression of interest to NB Power. So if council was to enter into this MOU, tonight would be the only night that you would be able to, because you do require a motion, obviously, to go into it. So if we push this over to May, it would lapse through the deadline for him to enter his expression of interest. So that,
Okay, but we could call a special meeting. We could call a special meeting if we have time, right, to wait for Andre's.
Sure. Yep, sure. If council wanted to do that, if we wanted to, put this off, have Andre provide his information, evaluate that, call a special meeting before that date, you would be able to do it. Yeah.
Then I would recommend tabling it till we get information from Andre.
Do we need to read the motions in order to table? Can we just table, you can't table a motion that's not on, you can't table a motion that's not on the table, correct?
Yeah, I believe that's correct. Brenda, I don't know if you want to chime in on that?
I believe you don't, it's not the motion you're tabling, you're actually tabling the whole discussion onto it, like you're bringing the whole discussion forward again.
Okay. So let's do a motion to table if we can get a counselor to do so.
I just made the motion to table
Okay,
it.
can we get a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the motion, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, so motion has been tabled. Motions have been tabled. Next is the clerk treasurer. Correspondence, I believe. Financials, correct.
The general operating fund from March 1st to 31st, 2023, the balance carried forward of $649,768.84. We had deposits of $3,454.40, e-transfer payments of $230, Province of New Brunswick deposit of $387,498.56, a COA grant of $216.48, HST rebate of $8,279.31, Arena cash deposits of $4,811, Arena e-transfers of $178, and interest revenue of $3,820.56, for total deposits of $408,489.31. We had checks that were issued from March 1st to the 31st of $372,504.88. Accounts payable, direct payments of $6,392.91. Direct payment service New Brunswick, $23. Direct payment work health and safety, $1,032.12. And MasterCard payments of $6,349.66. We had checks that were outstanding from February and cleared of $80,276.64, and checks still outstanding at the end of March of $49,052.32, which left the current account balance in the general operating fund of $640,731.26. We had the capital reserve account balance of $3,151,836.52. The operating reserve account of $208,453.90, and the gas tax fund of $603,970.30. We had accounts payable at the end of March of $14,107.93, and accounts receivable of $340.63. We had due to the general operating fund from the general operating reserve, $3,500. Due to the general utility operating fund, $1,167.22. Due to the gas tax fund, $51,042, and due to the general capital reserve, $20,000, and due to the general operating reserve, $196.90. For the utility operating fund from March 1st to the 31st, we had a bank balance carried forward of $23,272.05, deposits of $3,304.88, direct payment of $8.49, e-payments of $1,250, and interest of $88.48, for total deposits of $4,651.85. Checks issued from March 1st to the 31st were $7,954.34, and account payable direct payment of $1,620. We had checks that were outstanding from February that cleared, $471.73, and checks still outstanding at the end of March of $409.84, leaving the current account balance in the utility operating fund of $18,287.67. The capital reserve account balance was $80,023.11. The operating reserve account balance was $7,177.03, and the trust account balance was $29,718.32. We had no outstanding accounts payable at the end of March. Accounts receivable, we had still, and from the 2022 on the residential fees, $750. And on the, as of March 31st, on the residential, we had $500, and as of March 31st, industrial, $5,720.41. We had due from the general operating fund, $1,167.22. Due to the utility capital reserve, $5,000. Due from the utility operating reserve, $3,500. And due to the general operating reserve, $196.90.
All right, can we get a mover for that particular motion?
M 2023-0417-84, that the draft of 2022 audited,
No,
oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong one.
83,
83?
yeah. Right up above.
Oh, on top, sorry, I'm dreaming. 17-83, that the financial report be accepted as presented and the accounts payable be paid.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye.
I do have a question, Your Worship.
Yep.
On the accounts receivable for 2022, you're showing $750. That's obviously someone who has not paid their water tax.
Yes.
So what do we do to collect that, and what do we do if they don't pay it?
Currently, our bylaw states that when somebody is in arrears of payment, they get issue a shut-off notice for their water. In this case, it has been shut off, and it has been shut off for some time. I don't know if the persons are living in the home or yet not. So that's the status of where it is right there now.
So at the end of the day, if that were the case and they'd never paid it, over how long do we carry that for? A year type thing, and then write it off?
The last ones, we probably carried them over for a couple of years.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Next motion is for 17-84.
That the draft of 2022 audit financial statements prepared and presented by Alan Paquette and Arsenal be accepted as presented.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye. Motion passed. Next is the appointment of 2023 auditors, -85.
That Alan Paquette and Arsenal be appointed as Beldoon financial auditors for the year 2023.
And a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Next, we move on to bylaws and policies. There are none. Motions and resolutions. First one deals with the Chaleur Bay Watershed Group. There is a note there for council. So do we have someone to move -86?
Yeah, just a note to the public that this was advertised in the Messenger. It's the community liaison for the Chaleur Bay Watershed Group. So I'll make motion 2023-04-1786 that council appoint Ronald Bijou to the Chaleur Bay Watershed Group as Beldoon's second representative.
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. Motion passed.
I have a
General,
question. How long is somebody on to that group again?
I believe until they resign their position.
general correspondence?
We have correspondence in the Restigouche SPCA March report, the Atlantic Railway Track Inspection Report for March, the Schuyler Regional Service Commission Planning March reports, the CAMA, congratulations to Brenda Cormier, 30 years of service, Honorable Jill Green, Service to Brunswick Canoe Procurement Group, Regional Assessment Office Municipal Review Statistics Report, and Vitality, various press releases, one that was sent to council by email. Correspondence for thank yous. We had a thank you from the IWK Foundation for a grant. Magazines was Municipal World, April 2023, and Threads of Life. And correspondence out was Emward Savoy, President, Quad New Brunswick was the letter of support, and Rod Hartwell Fund donation. No motions on the correspondence, no.
M 2023-04-17-87, that the meeting is adjourned at 7:52, or 7:52.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second it.
Aye.